Hey there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Nathan Fox, one of the founders of LSATdemon.com and our weekly podcast, Thinking LSAT. With me today is Josh Mansfield, a teacher with us at the Demon. We've got an email here from Angelice. The subject is structuring a study schedule.
Angelice says, I hope this email finds you well. I'm reaching out because I've started prepping for the LSAT and will be diving into my study schedule next week. However, I'm feeling a bit lost on where to begin and how to structure my time effectively. Any recommendations on how to get started or a study structure you suggest would be incredibly helpful. I'm eager to start strong, but want to make sure I'm approaching it in the best way possible from the very beginning. Thanks so much. Uh, well, Angelique, this is I want to start. I am one of the tutors that, if you are a Demon Live member, we have 15-minute free live coachings, and we essentially will answer any question you want for 15 minutes. That's just a perk that you get as being a live member. And the number one most common question that we answer is this one right here. It's students who want personalized study schedules based on their work schedule, their availability, where they're at in their LSAT journey, etc. And my answer is overwhelmingly and very, very oftentimes very similar. You need an hour a day of doing questions that you are focused, locked in, and reviewing your mistakes. Whether that's timed sections, whether that is drilling, that hour a day needs to become the number one top priority that is just a protected hour in your schedule every single day. That is the foundation, the start. Anything else we want to talk about, we can add on top, but that has to be the foundation moving forward. And honestly, it's about, I have students who just use that hour and they get into the 170s.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it's not like you're not allowed to do more if you want to do more. So people who, like maybe you've got the summer off from school, or maybe you're in between jobs, or maybe you're still working or in school, but you just happen to have more time, maybe on the weekends or whatever. Some people are like, no, I want to study for 3 hours a day. Okay. I mean, sure. But if you want to talk about how to start your study schedule, I'm by far most interested in that first consistent hour a day. It doesn't have to be the same time every day, although that might be good for building yourself a consistent routine. But I would say that 1 hour a day is kind of the minimum price of admission, that if you're just not able to find an hour a day most days, every day would be great. 6, maybe 5 days a week is kind of the minimum. But if you can't find, 5 days a week, 1 hour a day at a minimum, then I just don't think it's the right time for you. The Demon is great, by the way, for fitting in additional little bursts of studying because, you've got a cell phone, you've got the Demon in your pocket. So when you're waiting in line at the grocery store, I had to go do blood work yesterday, and the doctors, the place that does the blood draws was just a disaster, right? Like, you've got an appointment, but then you have to wait in line for 30 minutes to check in for your appointment. But then your appointment is just like this notional. It's like, in theory, you have this appointment. Oh, we know you're coming. Oh, we know that you have an appointment at this time, but that doesn't mean that you're going to do your blood draw at that time. That's just your appointment time. I mean, what do you think is going on here? Well, LSAT Demon students could be drilling one question while they're standing in line, and they could drill another question while they're sitting there waiting. And it's, you can just like kind of shoehorn in some additional prep into all of that dead time in your schedule. But if your life circumstances are such that that's the only time you have in your schedule, then I'm highly skeptical of your ability to make real progress on the test. I'm not telling you that you need 30 hours a week, which some prep companies say, oh, you've got to be studying basically full time for this. If you don't have 30 hours a week, you can't do it. Horseshit. I've seen so many people do it in 5-10 hours a week. But if you can't give me that 5 high quality hours a week, 5, 6, or 7 days a week, 1 high quality hour, no cell phone, no kids, no pets, no distractions, nothing.
No NBA finals.
Dude, TV on in the background. Are you kidding me? No. What? This is legal work. Really? You're going to do legal work while also watching the news? No. So, one high quality hour a day, distraction free. And if you legitimately show up and do that every day, I know you're making forward progress. Less than that, I don't know.
uh Speaking of all as dead time, to that dead time, I have some students who say like, well, I have 1 hour, so I can either watch a class or I can do my studying or do my questions, right? Questions always takes priority. You will learn in those questions, right? You've got explanations, you've got videos, like
Yep.
that's doing questions is the priority. I will always tell my students who come to my classes, if you are replacing your questions today to come to my class, then you're not doing it right, because you need to be
Yeah.
learning on your own as well. I would rather
Yeah.
you spend that hour locked in and then I used to listen to I had I remember distinctly, I put double black diamond on, Nate, your class, when I was a
Okay.
student while I was on the golf course. And I put an earbud in and I set my phone in my golf cart and I was golfing while I listened to Double Black Diamond. Now, is that is that the highest quality use of the class? Maybe not, but I
No.
wanted to make sure I had an hour to do questions and then I had a tea time because I wanted to go golfing. So I listened to class in the background, and I got stuff out of it. I learned, and I didn't sacrifice my hour of questions, because that hour has to just be your priority moving forward.
Yeah. And before that, I mean, you can just hit drill, right? People sometimes say, what should I do during the hour? And broadly, it's a mix of drilling one question at a time and timed sections, 35 minutes at a time, longer if you have accommodations. But basically, 50-50. Sometimes you're drilling, sometimes you're doing timed sections. But if today's not your first day of LSAT prep, I think the first thing you should do every day is review your mistakes. And I don't mean go read in your wrong answer journal. What I mean is, remember that practice test that you took yesterday where you were happy about your score or you were unhappy about your score? Well, I don't give a shit whether you were happy or unhappy. What I care about is your mistakes. So if you didn't review all of your mistakes thoroughly from yesterday's practice, then that's the first thing that you need to do is you need to review thoroughly your mistakes. Then the next thing that you could do, if your review inbox is empty, if you don't have any more questions that need review, because the reviewing is where the learning happens. Written explanations, video explanations, use the amazing ask button and talk to, a whole team of tutors. If you're not doing that, then you're just shortchanging yourself on the part where learning actually happens. If you have cleaned out your review, if you have no old questions that need review, now you got a choice. You can hit drill and do one question, or you can start a timed section and do 35 minutes worth of questions. But then we put ourselves back in the exact same spot. If you drilled a question and you got it wrong, okay, well, your job is thoroughly review that question, make sure you understand what's right, why the right answer is right and why the wrong answer is wrong. If you did a time section and you missed any questions, one question at a time, you've got to thoroughly review those questions. So back to Angelice, people want to build like a whole 3-month study plan or whatever. But and we could help you do that. I mean, we could arbitrarily put a schedule out there. I wrote a blog post called 1 Hour LSAT, and that 1 Hour LSAT gives you like, hey, here's what your week should look like if you're doing it our way. But you also don't need to over engineer it. I encourage you strongly to just do a question and then thoroughly review it. And that's the backbone of every day's LSAT prep.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything else to add. We will link that blog post of 1 Hour LSAT in the show notes. We have a couple other resources that give some kind of that follow this philosophy that you can find on the Demon page, and so we'll have all those links in the show notes.
Yeah,
But
and we do have
otherwise,
some,
yeah,
Michael and company put together a nice resource in the lessons about how to build a, 2-month, 3-month, 4-month, whatever. There are some resources about how to build that schedule, but it's always going to just come back to where's your consistent high quality 1 hour per day, and then within that consistent high quality 1 hour per day, you're doing a mix of individual questions and timed sections and thorough review of all your mistakes. So check out the show notes for more of those resources. Happy you're here, Angelice. Thanks for the email.
Hmm. And if you have any other questions about scheduling or anything else, email daily@lsatdemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.